Some noises.
Whatever you turned on towards the end there and it got louder,
Yes.
leave that on all the time.
Okay.
What was that?
That is the banana boost.
Is it? Yeah, leave that on all the time.
Okay. Good morning. It's about 8 a.m. It is Pedalboard building day today. I've got one day to get my new rig together. We have a gig, that pedal show band gig tomorrow night. So I've got to get this ready because I'm heading up early tomorrow to go and do some filming with Mick and then off to the gig. So I've got to get this all done today. So it's a big job. Really, I should be going through my parts and everything for the gig, but hey, I'm going to build a pedalboard instead. So there's a bunch of you that's been asking me to do this build video, and I've sort of been waiting for something. The thing I've been waiting for is to be able to tell you about this. This is the Wetterbox. This is the Gig Rig Parallel Mixer. Years ago, we had a thing called the Wetbox, and this is the Wetterbox. This is the updated version. It basically allows me to plug two pedals in on either side and blend between the two of them. And I can do that in real time with an expression pedal. I have ended up with a lot more pedals than I thought I would. I'm using the 525. I've been using this board for a while. It's the perfect size. It's a big board, but it's not crazy big. So I'm very happy to limit myself to what I can get on this board for now. I may do a board for any of you that's in the Ed O'Brien show. He's blown my mind with the sounds and everything that he creates with a looper. So I am going to do a specific board with loopers and things for another project. But for now, I'm going to limit myself to the main board. So I've got the layout planned basically, and now it is time to see if that layout works. I've got the GoPro on, so yeah, we're going to go from start to finish. So the first thing that I need to do is to rip everything off the board and basically get to a clean slate so I can see exactly what I'm working with. I'm sure the keen-eyed amongst you would have noticed the absolute rat's nest of cables that was underneath. When I put the board together originally, it was just to see if the ideas that I had was all going to work. And I ran out of cables. I used whatever I had lying around. And yeah, not great. So I do have my the Evidence Audio SIS. I've got loads of plugs and more cable of that, so I'm going to do it properly today and see if I can do it, a lot neater. So everything's been stripped off and I'm ready to start laying things out. Now, for most of you, most of you will be redoing your boards as opposed to starting from scratch. If you're starting from scratch and you don't have your Velcro down, then it's fine. You can lay things out and see what's going to fit. If you've got Velcro down already and you've got Velcro on the bottom of your pedals, what I normally do is I'll put some pieces of paper over the Velcro on the board so I can get an idea of layout before I commit to putting the pedals onto the Velcro, because I don't want to be putting them on the Velcro and ripping them off time and time again. I want to make sure I've got a fairly sensible idea of the layout first before I start committing to that. Okay, I think this works. I'm going to take a picture of this and then I'm going to see if I can get everything else that I need to fit on the bottom level. Okay, I've already had to change the layout on the bottom. I I've had to move the analog man delay up. This is one of the older ones, and it's quite tall, and the top wasn't shutting with it down here. But now it shuts fine, so I've just moved the treble booster there, and also I've got to have a couple of expression pedal outputs here. Now these will be straight TRS connectors, so they need to fit in, they'll sit in over the power supply stuff. Right, so I'm going to go and get this wired up, and then we'll move on to the top deck. Okay, so this is the bottom deck, pretty much there now, I think. I have had to change things around yet again, but everything is wired in, all the audio's done, all of the power is done, and the top still shuts. Right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to test the bottom layer just for power, and then we'll start on the top layer. Okay, starting to get there. Right, here is the top. I've got power hooked up to the wetter box, but I've got audios done for all the rest of the pedals. I'm about to hook power up. Now, one thing that you can do with the Schmidt-Array boards is that you can connect, like I've got the virtual battery stuck on here, and I'm going to have an isolator on here. But it's very important, you need to make sure these things aren't as deep as you think they are. So you need to make sure that when you close, you're not getting in the way of anything else. We've learned by mistakes with this one. So it's really important that when you're doing, so what I might do is I might put the isolator here directly above the generator, so that when that closes, I know there's a gap there. The other thing is, you see I've got the cable ties in loosely, with the audio and the power going up here. Now, one thing that's really important when you're doing a board like this is the idea of tension. I don't want to have too much strain on any connector anywhere. All right, so I will, there's nothing here that's got crazy amounts of tension on it. It's just not good. You want to, make sure that the cables, they need to be cut to length, otherwise it won't be tidy, but you don't want tension. You don't want tension pulling on the jack plugs and things. You want it to have, enough movement so that you can at least move the plugs around. I've got the standoffs here with the cable ties going through. So once this is all done and I'm happy with everything and I've audio tested everything, I will then pull these tight and snip these off. But you see the cables that are going from the bottom here and going up to the top, all I'm doing here, again, not crazy amounts of tension, and I'm just leading the cables where to go. And when that shuts, that isn't getting in the way of anything. Some people have asked, who is Jake? Let me show you Jake. This is Jake, this lovely man here. We are, I believe, done. So all the audio, all the power has been connected. I've just noticed that's not going to work. And underneath, so you'll see that none of these cable ties have been pulled shut because we need to test everything first. And the paper is still on the bottom. because I want to make sure that everything's working before I actually set the bottom stuff in situ. Everything's working. I'm now going to start tidying things up, and it might be time to run through the set. Okay, there we go. All done. Everything is plumbed in. Everything sounds great. There we go. Quick look underneath. That's been 10 hours. I haven't stopped. 10 solid hours getting all that done. There's been cables to make, a few fiddly things to do, but all in all, it's gone together beautifully. I'm really, really pleased. I've got 3 connections on the right-hand side, my guitar input and 2 expression pedal outs, and 2 connections on the left-hand side, which is my wet and dry outputs. Groovy. So, da-da! Here it is.
And it's changed a bit since you saw it last.
It has. I've had to manipulate a few things. We recently went, well, very recently, 3 a.m. this morning, we flew back in from Athens after visiting with the guys from Jam Pedals, and there's I've added a couple of bits.
Yeah, because the truth is we have filmed this once already.
Yes.
And there were gremlins, weren't there? Something went wrong.
Yeah.
And the audio was really weird.
Yep.
There was some weirdness.
Yeah, there was weirdness.
So we thought, rather than investigate it and solve the problem, best just forget it ever happened and move on.
But let's tell everyone about it.
Because it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, there's no... If you spend too long worrying about things, it's psychological time, Dan.
It is.
Where you need to be in the moment.
Right.
You need to be present now and conscious.
I love that you've read that book. I really do. It's great. It's wonderful.
Well, stop me shouting at a couple of car drivers on my motorbike this morning. Anyway, yeah, so it has changed a bit, hasn't it?
It has.
And very splendid it's looking too, mate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's just have a quick look under here.
Like that.
Wow.
I've put this in this morning. That was to straighten up a little bit. So, yes.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Can we see everything? Yes. So, this is our TPS limited edition Rattler.
Which may well all be sold out by the time you watch this.
Yeah.
So apologies if it is. And if it is, the circuit is exactly the same as the standard Rattler. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, shall we go through it?
Yeah. I think, does it make sense to start with the basics, such as, I see we have 2 amps.
Yes.
Got your new Matchless.
Yes.
Matchless HC-30 head. So it's based on the C30 circuit from them. EF86 channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I generally don't use the other channel, although the other channel's great.
Yeah.
But the EF86 channel on that thing is just spectacular.
Yeah, it's sound of ages, isn't it?
It really is.
I would say, you know, absolutely deservedly up there with among the very best amps of all time ever.
Yep, no question. No question at all.
Mid-late 50s Bassman.
Yeah.
60s Plexi, AC30, that is in there as far as I'm concerned.
No question. No question at all.
And
my Lazy J J20.
Yeah.
Which hasn't appeared on the show for a while, much to my help me, Mick, you're the word man. Much to my shame.
The plane was late. The M23 was closed. The M3 was closed, and the A303 was closed.
What time did you get in?
And M25.
And the M25 was closed.
What time did you get home?
Wasn't too bad actually. We made really good time. I think I dropped Simon off at 1 minute to 3.
Okay, yeah. So I got home at 3.
Yeah, and then I got home about 3:15.
Right.
So it wasn't too
bad. That's okay.
A little bit tired.
Okay. Yeah.
So the word you were looking for is much to my chagrin, maybe.
Yes. Nice. Much to my chagrin.
Is that the right word?
That'll do.
Yeah.
That'll do. So anyway, I have been using the J20. I've been using that particular amplifier for about. I got in early doors with Jesse, and I do love it. So, oh yes, let's have a listen to those then. So this is the
the J20 is the dry amp. It has a little bit of its own spring reverb in there.
I like the way he's gone to the trouble of having a full-on long tank in there.
Yeah, and it's a valve-driven spring reverb as well.
Yeah.
There's a sort of module on the back. So, I've been 10 years I've been using that amplifier for, and it's been probably the most consistent amplifier on my rig. I pair it with everything. I've used to pair it with the HC-30 for the longest time.
Yeah. So it looks like a Tweed Deluxe, but it's actually 6L6s.
Yeah. It's based around the Tweed Deluxe circuit,
Yeah.
but with all of Jesse's stuff.
Doesn't really sound like a Tweed Deluxe, does it?
No.
It's got way more headroom.
Way more headroom.
Yeah,
I mean, so as a
Sparklier.
pedal, as a pedal platform amplifier, it's very special. And then we hit the Matchless, and this is just the clean channel EF86. I do have a reverb, a very slight reverb on that side. Well, that's actually more than slight, but I'll tame that down a tad.
From the Chase Bliss Dark World.
That's better. Oh, it's so
Just a
good.
touch.
It's
Presumably
so
that's
good.
not the dark side.
What's this side? What side is this one?
No idea.
Okay. It's that, yeah, it's the plate reverb.
Yeah.
On that I adore. And then I always have on the little Bad Bob. That's, well, for my clean tone,
Yeah.
it's the Bad Bob. And because it reacts it cleans up so beautifully on the volume control. But when you dig in,
It's almost acting like a compressor.
yeah, but with clipping,
Yeah.
hard clipping of the edges.
Yeah. It's just sort of fattening everything and bringing everything in a little bit.
I love it because in a rig like this, that you can run the risk of it sounding too big. You know what I mean? Because and so something like this, it just bottom end. You know, when everything couples together and you're running at volume, it's like we've only had a few hours sleep, and so I'm running the amps quite quiet today. Otherwise, my brain's going to explode.
For everyone annoyed that there's no dB meter, it will return. It will return. We just need to find some film for the front of it, and it hasn't been the top of the priority list.
Sure, absolutely. So I find that that gives me that lovely dynamic element to it that I can dig into it, but it does tighten things up a little bit, which I really like. So that's, and so that's my first gain stage.
Yep.
Okay. Second gain stage is the Benson Preamp. It's just lovely.
It's really interesting. So you do gain staging totally the opposite to me.
Right.
So if I step on a pedal and it gets quieter like both of those do, I'm like, nah, that's not right.
Sure.
Because you're using it as a shaper and a staging thing rather than as a loud, louder, loudest, which is how I do it.
Yeah.
It's really it's a completely different approach, isn't
Right.
it?
Yeah. Well, see, at volume, if I'm hitting the amplifiers, that's one thing. But if the amplifiers are allowed to do what they do, and because the pedal sounds so good, yes, the amplifier, you're still getting all the character from the amplifiers, but it's leaving the edges alone.
Yeah.
You know, when I run it like this, and I really like that because I've got so much volume here. You know, and one thing I find if I'm always pushing the amps with the pedals, I find it really hard to dial in the right amount of volume.
Yeah.
But if I'm not doing that, if I'm leaving a little bit of space for the gain stages to do their thing, it's so much easier to find the spot that works.
Interesting.
So that's the Benson. The next gain stage is the D&M Drive, which is a bit more gain. It's a bit more mid, a bit more tighter bottom end. Just
Well done.
oh, thank you.
Well done on the reverb trails.
It's only because I'm tired. Okay, and then the next gain stage is the Rattler, and what the Rattler gives me is less mids, more bottom end, and more gain.
It's really because it's quite subtle, isn't it?
It is subtle.
The difference is subtle, but at volume, not so
volume,
subtle.
not so subtle, but also when you're singing.
Yeah.
So for a thick rhythm sound that sits underneath the vocal, I prefer
The Rattler.
the Rattler to just my side.
Yeah.
Because I stack the two sides of this together to get this sound. So I need to have the EQ in a certain way to get that mid range and it's not crazy gainy. There's still plenty of dynamics there. And I love that for sort of the really edgy rhythm bits, but also for solo tones and things. It's magic.
Yeah.
But for a thick sound that sits underneath the vocal, the Rattler is just because it doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
And it just pulls the mids down just a.
It's ever so slightly more smiley face, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas the D&M Drive is slightly mid-humped, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Rattler's probably flatter, truth be told.
And as subtle as they may sound in this context, as soon as the band kicks in, that's everything.
Yeah, and then when there's two of us playing as well, or whoever you're playing with, that sometimes it can be really useful just to get out of the way of the other person.
Absolutely.
If they've got quite a scoopy sound, it can be nice to just pop over the top there, and if they've got quite a mid-hump sound, it can be nice to just sit in underneath.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the four main gain sounds. I do have, and now on top of these sounds, what I will do, so for example, if I go back to the Benson, I will hit that with a treble booster, which is. Or if I hit the Rattler with the treble booster. And puts a little bit of that mid back in and the bite.
It's really interesting because it's doing two things, isn't it? It's making the overdrive pedal drive more. Mm-hmm. So it's adding gain, and it's also really giving it that mid-focused
articulation.
Yeah, rolling off bottom and top.
Yeah.
And just that upper mid thing. So that's that one. That's the Jam.
This is the Rooster.
Yeah, Jam Rooster custom shop one there that you've got. Yeah. We were at Jam and Dan was playing with a few and listening to them, and it's like, yeah. So that's replaced the old plosive, has it?
It has.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite has I've always loved the OC44 transistors in my treble boosters, but the ones I've had have been the black glass, the black versions of that. Yeah. And I have one treble booster that's had 3 in there. For some reason they
break.
They just stop sounding right. But this is an OC44 transistor, but this is the military version.
Right.
So harder wearing. Yeah, it's I just everything I love about So for example, D&M Drive with a treble booster. Volume control.
So not a solo boost, a gain boost.
Yeah. And a sort of focus thing. So yes, I'll use the treble booster, and in a similar way, I'll actually use the fuzz. So I've got the Analog Man fuzz. So let's go back to the Benson Preamp, and I'll kick the fuzz on in front of that.
It's a huge amount of texture.
It's amazing, and it's thick.
Yeah.
So if I've got a rhythm sound, for example, which let's just say I've got a bit of delay happening, and some harmonic tremolo. And I kick the fuzz on top of that.
Massive.
It's massive, but sometimes it's too massive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't like. There are times when that's really appropriate, but there are times I just need to be a bit more bitey.
Sitting.
Yeah.
Sit in
So
the
that's
mix. Yeah.
So that, and then finally I've got the Cali 76 up there to give me another. I can sometimes if I'm finding I need something a bit smoother to the bad bubble, I can smooth out those edges. So. Oh, and then one last thing, like we said before, the banana booster.
Yeah.
Now that
Is your solo boost.
That's the solo boost. Now that is after all the other gain stages.
Yeah.
And which is just more, but it's that overdrive boost circuit.
Yeah, the color sound, power
boost thing.
Or the overdriver, as it was called in the United States of America.
There we go. So if I have, let's say I've got some fuzz and a little bit of delay going. And the thing is, because I'm not smacking the input of the amps,
Yeah.
I've got the headroom to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so I've got the amps are just ticking over.
Yeah, yeah. If again, with apologies that we don't have the dB meter, before Dan turned the banana boost on, I guess we wouldn't be hitting 95 today. We're not loud at all.
No.
Maybe even quieter than that actually for some of the rhythm sounds. And then when he kicked the power boost on, I still don't think we were touching. We probably weren't quite at 100.
No.
So compared to sometimes when we put a boost on, it will go to like 104, 105, which is really too loud for the room. Really, it extols the virtues of the wet dry thing yet again. Dare we bang on about it too much? Where you've got plenty of gain on and plenty of texture and loads of wet, and yet the articulation and the note definition and all of that is massive. I mean, it's just so clear and present, as it were.
Yeah.
It's even worthy of wild hand gestures.
That's getting these gain stages right. This has been years. Just,
Yeah, at least to get to this blooming video, it feels like it's been years.
Yes, it's been a while. So that's how I'm stacking the gains and getting all the textures. That's getting all the gain textures. Now if we have a look at modulation.
And that's on the fly, right? So you don't go, this particular stacking of stuff works well in this tune.
So all of my gain, my four main gain sounds, I can just switch really easily between them all here.
Yeah.
I can add the fuzz on top of anything. I can add the boost on top of anything and the treble booster on top of anything.
But you don't always use the Benson and the fuzz for this song.
No.
And the D&M Drive and the treble booster for that song.
No. I mean, I could do, because I've got, other, if we get a set together and we've got really specific things and I can do a banks, dedicated to just specific sounds for specific tunes. But having a setup like this where I've got my gain sounds and then I can kick in anything on top of those things, but quickly get back to those gain sounds.
Yeah.
That works really well for me.
So you are just feeling it out.
Yeah.
Whatever feels right for the moment.
Yeah, I love doing it like that. It's wonderful.
Yeah, me too, because I find if you try and put down specific patches, especially if there's any deep editing involved, which I've never done because the following happens. You get to the gig and everything sounds weird and you have to change everything.
Right.
So I like that too. I like that flexibility in the way. In fact, we have Chris Buck on just recently building his pedal board. He's exactly the same, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lots of gain stages that sound ostensibly very similar, but give you the sort of the flexibility within that to get it right where you want it.
Yeah. That's lovely. Okay, so let's have a look at. So it is a wet dry rig, but I have got a couple of other sneaky little additions to the wet dry thing going on. So everyone knows our love of harmonic tremolo. This is the Monument, and without it sounds like this. When I kick this on, it's only going to the Matchless.
You did 2 awesome half-step oopsie daisies there that sounded like Jeff Beck was playing it with the bar. It's like,
wow.
It was cool.
And on that note, wow. Yeah, so that's the harmonic trem, and we do bang on about harmonic trem all the time, but I dearly love it. So the other modulation I've got the Hartman Flanger, which is going to be replaced by something soon.
Right, that you can't talk about?
No, I can talk about it actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
You sure?
really. I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Because I've got... So Thorpe dropped by today, and I've known that this product has been in the works for years.
Okay.
And he dropped by with the prototype. Best sounding flanger I've ever heard.
Okay, there's a bit of a world exclusive then.
Yeah. So
Not that we care about those things anymore.
that's... Well, Thorpe has said, "Oh, I'm going to send you. I'll send you another prototype," and you can just, So I thought, well, if he said that I could talk about when I got the prototype, I'll talk about it, without having heard it. But it's truly amazing. But anyway, the Hartman Flanger. This is the closest I've heard to my original Mistress. And what I've done here. I've got this in the loop of the wetter box. Okay, one of the reasons that I haven't been able to do the board was waiting to tell everyone about what's going on with the wetter box.
Released. Yeah, if you don't know what the wetter box is, please go and watch Dan's video on the Gig Rig channel to explain what the wetter box is. It's a parallel effects mixer.
Yeah.
That's as much as we'll say about that.
Yeah, but what I've done, I've actually got this last in the chain of the dry amplifier. Reason being is I've always loved, if I've got the dry amplifier and if that's working hard.
So it's a damp amp, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I've always loved the sound of flanger into that into that thing.
It's not dry at all. For all the pedants out there going, well, the correct definition of dry is nothing at all. That's for you.
Yeah. So the I don't have any reverb. I don't have any delay. Well, we'll get there. But anyway, for my
don't have much reverb or
much.
delay in I don't have much modulation, reverb or delay in my dry amp.
There we go. So what I'm doing, I've got the Hartman Flanger. If I just use the Hartman Flanger, and you hear that into the Lazy J, so both amp, flanger, I love that. But then what I do, this is the Lillian Phaser, and what the Lillian Phaser gives you the ability to do, if I just go all the way over to the Phaser, and we just hear the Phaser for a second like this.
That was just the phaser.
That's just the phaser going into the Lazy J.
On a really slow phase.
On a really slow phase.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I do with the wetter box is I keep the flanger in. I set this to almost 100% vibrato, and then I blend in on top of the flange just this underlying slow phase. So just the flanger. So it's basically using the direct sound of the Hartman, because it's all analog, right? You've got the direct signal of the Hartman that's causing the flange. You've got the modulated sound going against the direct signal and causing the flange, but using the same direct signal, and you're putting the vibrato effect against the same direct signal and just mixing that in to give you a little bit of movement. And I just think
It's
it's
cool.
awesome.
You've always been a sucker for those kind of very analogy modulations, haven't you? And I think they really come to light in that wet dry
Yeah.
situation, because sometimes they can be syrupy and overpowering and over affected. Certainly got overused in the 80s, perhaps.
Absolutely.
But in a wet dry thing, they just give this massive movement, and you would swear blind it's stereo.
Yeah.
Just in case you were wondering, you don't have to bend down and change the blend of the two effects as Dan was doing there. You have that on an expression pedal.
Yeah. And I'll show that in a bit. I just for ease of use today. But I will generally have it set up with just the flange.
Yeah.
But then in moments I will blend that phase in underneath.
And so at the moment, are you blending between the two, or are you blending the phase in on top? Because Wetterbox can do both, right?
Yeah, I'm blending the phase in on top of the flange. So the flange is always there.
Yeah.
But then it'll just add this sort of phasey movement.
So the Wetterbox can go from like 100% of this to 100% of that, or it can go 100% of this and add that on top.
Yeah.
Look at that. That was awesome.
Wonderful. And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of with this is that crossfade.
Yeah.
Because that's all done using
Magic.
It's magic.
And mirrors.
Yeah.
Magnets.
Magnets even.
Yeah.
But
it's the triple M.
control voltages.
Right.
And to get that smooth. Okay.
That doesn't work as well, Dan.
Sorry, no.
Is that the sum total of your wobbly things?
So what I can do is I can put
Yes.
it is the sum total, yes. So if now we can listen to this is the flanger in the Lazy J, the monument in the Matchless, both on together.
So it's not wet dry at all. It's dual mono wet, kind of.
Yeah. So, yes, let's go with that. I think because I've got the flange right at the end of the gain stages, after the outputs is being sort of switched remotely, but it just means that I can have the flanger on one side and the monument on the other, and again, it's texture. There are moments certainly in our set where you're doing your thing, and I want to be able to, because I can kick those in individually.
Yeah.
And there are moments when I want to be able to just give you this massive pad to be able to,
You were so struggling not to say bed.
I was, just.
Well, it's very good of you, mate. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah.
So that's the modulation.
But it does mean that you can't use 1 amp here, right?
It does mean that yes, exactly.
Yeah. One of the benefits of a straight wet dry thing is if you just use the wet, you can use 1 amp.
But what I can do, if I'm just using the Matchless, I can go into both channels.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They in phase?
No, but I can.
Doesn't
switch that
matter.
Here.
Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah. So, and there will be gigs where I do that.
Yeah.
And it works great. I mean, actually, I can do it with the J20 as well, with two different channels.
Yeah.
And that works great. But if I'm, so I can just go, and then with the 2 amps separate. Yeah, that works
Nice.
great. So next is delays. We've got, again, under here, I have got another wetter box, and that has, in one side, it has the DSD2, the one I found in Japan.
Yeah.
And this is under the control of the expression pedal. So Mick, I'll get you to do that if you don't mind. So again, this is just going to the Matchless.
Yeah.
So when I kick on the DSD2, so just a really quick slap back. But now what I do is I blend between the slapback and the longer delay from the Analog Man ARDX20. So if you push down
a bit
and then just sort of move through. And I mean, anyone that has seen us at the gigs will see that I'm on that all the time.
And are they both going to the same amp?
They're both going into the Matchless.
Okay.
Yeah. And the level of control that gives you
Yeah.
is just wonderful.
And this is operating differently from the other Wetterbox because you're going back to our analogy earlier. You're going like that, aren't you, with the two delays?
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And the question might be, well, why don't you just have two delays and switch between them? Well, because you don't have all the blend points in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because when it's blended all the way in, it's a lot of long delay.
Yeah.
But if I pull that back, and you start to get hints of that slap back in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on that all the time. It's really great.
And have you got any phase problems anywhere?
No.
So
That's
nothing's
all.
reversing phase?
No. I've managed to, because all the gain stages, they will, like the treble booster, that will flip the phase, but because that's before the split, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It's only after the split where things that are reversing phase matters. But there's phase reversal buttons on the with the stuff to do with the Wetterbox, so that's all good. But finally, I think we've hit everything. But last but certainly not least, looking over my shoulder here, I have the Echofix tape delay, and this is going into the J20. So
it really is wet.
it really is wet. I might actually. What I can do, let's get a little Pro Junior, and I'll just pop that in the middle.
There you go.
There you go. Right, that's going to happen. So what I do with the tape delay, again, when and this is a texture thing. I've got this. My signal's going into here before it hits the Lazy J.
So you're always hitting the preamp of that.
Because I love the preamp in that thing.
And that is essentially a modern copy of an RE201.
Yeah, it's modern in the sense that it functions in a very similar way. It's much quieter. The preamp and everything's the same. The reverb in it it's a digital reverb.
Right, so it doesn't have that, yeah.
It doesn't have, but it sounds great.
Does that have valves in it?
No.
No, and the RE201 doesn't have valves in it.
No. Because I've already got my reverb sorted, so I'm not using the reverb in that, but so I'm just using the tape.
Yeah.
And
it is proper tape.
It's a proper tape.
Yeah.
And I'm accessing that, I'm turning that on and off using this foot switch here. So and now what I'll do is I'll turn on with the slap back, I'll turn that on in the Matchless.
epic.
It's great, isn't it?
It's epic. I want to go. I want to quick go. I want to have a go on the big sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And then maybe you can explain what the Tensor does.
Oh, yeah.
And play us out.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, mate. Right. So, Rattler and this one.
Cool, isn't it?
Completely lost.
It's, yeah, I'm so
But it's
pleased.
mad, you know, like with all that. So the experience of playing it is with all that gain on. It's quite a lot of gain, right? At one point there, we had the fuzz and
and
the Rattler and the
treble booster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a huge amount of gain, but just rolling off articulacy from the notes.
Mm-hmm. That's the things,
what a big deal! Yeah.
The treble booster and the fuzz, those circuits particularly, using those as boost because it gives you that impedance interaction thing with your volume control, and there's so much space there to do. You know, I'm really delighted.
Amazing, mate. Absolutely, mate. I can't wait to hear it. Come on, then. What does a Tensor do?
So
and then why don't you use that as a way to
perfect
play us out?
So the Tensor, I've had this on the board. I've been using this for probably nearly a year now, and I'm in love with it. It's just the most wonderful thing. So it's a tape simulator,
right?
In the sense that you can do. So what I was doing before is I had it set up as a reverse delay. Okay, so if I just turn it on. Now that is with the speed going back. It gives you these amazing reverse tape delay sounds, but what I normally use it for is for building loops. So let me get a little bit of gain with some delay.
That was awesome. I think we're going to call that EasyJet. EasyJet 1:10 a.m. London. Yeah?
Perfect.
Yeah. That was your state of mind.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's killer. That's absolutely awesome.
I'm so pleased with it. I'm so pleased with it. There you go, guys.
It will change next week.
Yeah, you know what? But that's what I love about it. It's because it's modular.
Yeah.
You can swap stuff in and out.
So you go, well, do you know what? I've just heard a harmonic trem that I like.
Yeah.
That's different, or a different phaser, or a different overdrive, and you just swap it out and put it in. Happy days.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Mm.
Okay. First of all, I want to say a massive thank you, because I'm sure we'll do other stuff before then, but like I said, we've been at Jam Pedals. These guys have been just amazing. We've had the best time in Athens. And thank you to everyone at Jam. Thank you to everyone that followed us on Instagram for that trip, because it was hilarious. It was so good. So yes, thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed t-shirts and shakers and
all manner of orange things, including maybe a limited edition Rattler.
Yeah,
which will probably all be gone by now, but they might not, so please check.
Pound Store hammers as DIY relic kits.
Yeah,
we're going to be doing those.
Yep, snow globes.
Yep, all that stuff is coming. Massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderson's Music of Guildford in Surrey.
And the AU of S
would be Pedal Empire.
Wonderful. And also to our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
There we go. Hope you enjoyed that.
Rough or lie down.
Yes.
Not together.
Yeah.
But that would be okay.
Not there's anything wrong with that. Cheers, guys. Have a good week. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
gone like a bullet from the barrel of a borrowed gun.